So, if you are going to start seated, you might want to have a little bit of a prop to have underneath your feet, your sort of back end there. And the idea is that the pelvic bowl we want to have sort of sitting like a bowl so that the water isn't going to kind of spill out, meaning that you're sort of tucked under a bit, or spill forward like you're sort of leaning forward with the pelvic bowl. So finding a nice neutral position. You can lie down if you want to be in constructive rest for this first part. That's totally fine. If the legs cross-legged don't work for you, also good. You can extend them out or do something else that works. So to start, let's allow just a few moments to arrive in the body. You might have hands on thighs, thinking about having a nice, tall, long spine. And then feel into the body. So you might notice touch points wherever the body is resting down into the earth, wherever body parts touch each other. The touch of the clothing on your skin. And then maybe you can witness the sensations of mood, energy, feelings, without trying to push anything away, just witnessing and acknowledging what's here, what is. And then allow the awareness to come to the breath. And if it's helpful, you might shift your hands onto the belly to allow the breath to be felt just a bit more into the space of the belly. This expansive quality on inhale and this drawing in on exhale. And become a bit curious about how the body is breathing, shifting into that felt sense and aware, exploring where the breath is moving on the body. And allow the breath to be a bit more focused into the space of the belly, as if you are fully expanding the belly. The breath might become a little bit longer on the inhale, a little longer on the exhale. You might envision that the breath is like pouring into a glass, that as the breath comes in, it fills from the bottom up to the top. And when you breathe out, it releases out the top and last out the bottom. We'll start to shift the breath to focus a little bit more onto the space of the ribs. So you might shift your hands there, or maybe one hand. filling three-dimensionally into the space of the ribs. And then just a couple breaths, hands maybe coming up to the top of the chest, filling into that upper chest. And then we'll put this all together. So as you have an inhale, let the breath fill the belly, and then the ribs, and then the chest. And then release out the chest and the ribs, and last little bits of air out the belly. This 3-part rhythmic breath. And if this feels challenging to coordinate the 3 sections on one breath, then just come back to that belly breathing. Let's do one more full round. And let breath return to its natural rhythm. Notice any shifts in energy, sensations in the body, in mood, feelings. And if you are still lying down, just take a couple breaths, a few breaths to slowly draw yourself up to a seated position. Keeping that inner focus, inner gaze, eyes can stay closed. And then eventually we'll allow the arms on an inhale to reach up towards the sky. And then allow the hands to come through the midline, maybe palms together, exhaling. And we'll do this a bunch of times, just focusing on breath. Feeling the breath coming into the ribs, the side of the waist, expansive. Next time the arms reach up, just take a little pause. And then release one arm down to one side and lean over to that side. So you're lengthening up through the side of the waist, the armpit, through the arm. Inhale to float up through center and exhale over to the other side. Lower arm supporting this side bend. Moving with your breath side to side. One more each side. Next, as you come up through center, let the hands land on the shoulders. We'll begin to rotate those elbows around. So feeling into the space of the shoulder blades, squeezing together as the elbows go back, opening the front of the chest. Good. Nice. And then we'll keep the elbows wide and lower the elbows down towards the hips and then lift them up, but not so much you're straining into the top of the shoulder. Lower down We have that clavicle bone that stops the elbows from coming up too high in this motion out to the side. So respect that natural block as the arms come up. Good. And the next time the arms come up, you're just keeping them here nice and soft into the shoulder, connecting to the core, and there's just do a little twist to one side. Come back to center and to the other side. So the arms are out of this equation so that we're fully using the torso, fully using the spine and the core to engage this twist, one more each side. Good. Come back to center and release the hands onto the thighs. And then think about pulling the hands from the thighs towards your hips as you lift and stretch the spine out. And then exhale, shift the hands away so you're rounding into the space. We're a cat and cow. Moving with your breath. Inhale the length in the spine. Exhale, scoop belly round. Two more. We'll come into a tall, tall spine. And then if your legs aren't stretched out already, let them stretch out. Hands can come to support. And just widen the legs and give yourself a little rock, a shake side to side. Let the feet come a little closer together. And as they do that little rock, that little shake side to side. So just warming into the hips a bit here. Good. And then feet nice and close together, your Tadasana stance in the legs, the Dandasana. And we're curling the toes, pointing the toes, flicking just the toes up, and then flex. So curl, point, flick, and flex. Curl, point, flick, and flex. Good. Curl, point, flick, and flex. Let's do one more. Curl, point, flick, and flex. And then side to side a couple times with the feet. Nice. And then rotating them around. And then we'll rotate around the other way. Nice. Good. And then cross your legs that opposite direction. So whatever direction you had before. Standing nice and tall and your seat all the way up. And give your chin to the chest. And let the chin come up. You might do a look up. Back to center. And then over one shoulder. Back to center the other shoulder. One more each way. And then stop and center. Place your hand on your nose and give yourself a nice parallel chin. And from there, without moving your nose, you're tilting one ear just slightly down to the side. So often what happens when we tilt, we sort of shift the whole head. So trying to keep this really, really small into that top vertebra. Nose staying still, just heading side to side. Good. Head comes back to center, and then we're giving ourselves a double chin. So we're pushing the chin in towards the chest, in towards the back of the head. You might notice that the upper back, lower part of the head, just at the base of the spine, gets a bit of a stretch, those occipitals. And then draw out, and then two more, pushing back. And release. One more. This is a good double chin. That's not one of those double chins that you don't want. Good. And release. Nice. Let's roll the shoulders up to the ears. Back and down. Up. Back and down. One more. Good. Remove any prop that they have behind you. I'm going to find the sit bones now and place the feet out. So we have A little bit of movement to feel those sit bones. Hands might stay on the front of the thighs, come behind you, especially if you have back pain, or slide underneath the legs. A little bit of a lean back till you feel your core working. You can either lift one leg or both, coming into our boat pose. From here, hands can stay under the thighs, maybe reach out. Legs can go straight, but if anything hurts into the low back, keep the knees a little closer to the chest, or place the hands down, or lower one or both legs. So whatever your option, connect to your core and breathe. If you do a little fall down here, that's okay. No problem. And then maybe you have an option that you can sort of head to one side and back to center, and head to the other side, back to center. One more each side, back to center. Good. And we'll place the feet down, widen the legs out. Just kind of round yourself over top those legs. And then widen the feet, or the knees out a little bit more so you're in a bit of a diamond shape. So the legs don't have to be in super tight. It's a bit more of a diamond. And then from there, pull those sit bones back a little bit. And we'll see about folding over. So obviously we haven't warmed the body a lot yet. So the idea that you might be able to do a big fold here, probably not happening. But I bet there's somewhere in the hips that you are feeling this. And then use your hands to press yourself up. Hands come behind you and you slide one knee towards the other. And then you do that sort of windshield wiper, knees side to side. Again, more for the hips. You might feel this, of course, in the belly, the core a bit. Good. When the knees get over to one side, you just head over to that side. We'll come up to a tabletop posture. Wrists under shoulders, knees and hips in line. And get yourself into a nice neutral position so that you can connect to core, soft elbows, and shift and reach the right leg out. Keeping the toe tucked under and down on the ground, push the heel away. Yourself a nice stretch into the back of the calf. And breathe there. And then elevate that leg up, hold. See about lifting the opposite arm up. Connect to the core. Feel that stability and strength. Squeeze into the midline of the body. And then as you exhale, roll underneath you, elbow and knee together. Inhale, stretch and reach. You might do that 2 more times. Pause and hold in your full extension of your bird dog or sunbird, and then release the hand. Send the foot over to the opposite side. Look over that shoulder, getting a big stretch into that whole right side of the body. And then take that right foot and head it out to its same side, its own side. Let the hands walk up to the hip. So you've got right leg out to the side. I'll just turn so you can see. Right leg out to the side. Right hand on the leg, lifting that left arm up. And exhale over to that right side. So if you maybe aren't on your knee, you can do the same kind of movement seated if that feels better for you, if you don't want to be up on your knee. Good. If you are up on your knee, then that top hand is going to come down, doing a little bit of a balance, lifting the extended leg, maybe the top arm reaches. So a bit of an Ardha Chandrasana or half moon pose, balance, modified. One more breath. And then draw that right knee in, come back with the hands forward towards your tabletop, connect to the core, that nice long line of energy in the spine. Stretch the left leg out, push the heel away as you tuck the toe down, getting a stretch into the back of the leg. Breathe. When you feel ready, opposite arm and leg elevate to lift. Pause and hold. And then as you exhale, elbow and knee curl together underneath you, or you can stay in that sunbird, whichever works for you. Coming back to a full sunbird hold and pause. Release the hand only and shift the foot over to that right side. So now you're looking over the shoulder towards the foot, breathing into the left side of the body. And then take the left leg and shift it all the way over to its own side. Walking the hands up towards the hips. Left hand coming to the left leg, right arm reaches up. Exhaling over to that side. Good. Breathe here. Remember, you can sit down if that is better for you. And then that top arm is coming down to the ground. The other leg is lifting up. Maybe the top hand reaches up. Kind of like you're pushing the foot into a wall, maybe getting a bit of space in the hip. And then draw that knee in, both knees coming in. From here, you can choose to head into child's pose or into downward dog. So totally your call. You might be pedaling the feet out if you're in downward dog. Softening the jaws wherever you are. 2 more breaths. And then we'll slowly bring ourselves into a forward fold. If you don't want to do a forward fold, you can come up to standing. Or bring the hands to the shins to halfway lift and lengthen. Exhale the fold. Push into the feet, lift and rise all the way up. Big, big reach and stretch up. Exhale, hands to the heart. Good. 1 more like that. Exhale, hands to the heart. Let's lift up that right knee and take a little pause. So as the right knee is lifted, you're holding, connecting to center. And then we'll stretch the right foot forward and the hands, and then draw them back in. 2 more like that. So find a point to fix your gaze. Good. Last one. Nice. Now we'll release that right foot down. Inhale all the way up. Exhale the fold forward again. But then plant the hands as you bend the knees and step that right foot all the way back to the back of the mat. So if you want, you can place the back knee down. You can you can sort of wiggle that front foot forward so you have a bit more space between the legs. So want to get a bit more into these lunges because they're really, really helpful for hips. You can have your blocks close by underneath your hands if you want. That's an option. Supporting under the back knee if you like, or elevating that back knee up. So option to stay here with the hands supporting on the ground. Option to elevate the hands towards the front thigh. That might mean the back knee comes down. And then another option to lift and reach the arms up. So connect to core, feel that sense of squeezing inner leg lines. Find your own balance here. Good. Breathing. And then we'll release the hands down. You can always have a block under the right hand. Anchor that right hand down. Back knee up or down if you like. We're going to squeeze the legs together and turn towards that left side. Maybe that left arm reaches up towards the sky. Unwind when you feel ready. This time the back knee is going to go down and you'll shift the hips back, keeping the front heel down so that the front leg gets longer. The front knee might not straighten, it might. Our half splits pose. If you need to shift the leg forward, you can do that. And then leaning towards that front leg. So you might feel the stretch in the back of the front leg into the calf, the hamstring. And then bend the front knee and come forward again. And this time think about shifting the hips forward so that you're getting a stretch into the front of that right hip. Hold and breathe. And we'll do one more shift hips back, walking the hands with you. Nice, tall, straight spine. Remember, you can be on blocks if you like. You can also bring hand to the top thigh. Only leaning as far forward as feels okay for you. Good. And then allow the foot to come down again. Now here, we're planting the hands and we're going to send that front foot back and come into our plank pose. Now you might have forearms down, you might have knees down. Finding a nice strong line, always coming down to our belly after a plank pose. So when you do come down, widen the feet out a little bit and then send the hands out to the side so that you've got the elbows pointing up. We'll press the hands into the ground, lift the chest a bit for your baby cobra pose or awkward cobra. Drop the right shoulder down and take a look over the right shoulder. Come back to center and release. Inhale as you're lifting up. Tented fingers looking over the left shoulder. Back to center and down. And one more in center. When that's done, shift hands under the shoulders. Press yourself up and back. Maybe it's child's pose. Maybe it's tabletop for a bit. Maybe it's downward dog. You could also come up to Tadasana. Practicing your mountain pose. You have options. If you're in downward dog, your hands are pointing forward to the front of your mat. All the fingers same distance apart. Wide hands so you have space for your shoulders. And one more breath wherever you are, softening the jaws. And then nice and slow in your own time, in your own way, coming into a forward fold or all the way to standing. Hands might rise to the shins, the thighs, the knees. Exhale to fold. And push the feet into the ground. Inhale, rise all the way up. As you exhale, hands come to the heart. Send the bum back so you're in your chair pose. Knees and ankles same distance apart. The bum is reaching back. And then notice whether or not you need to give yourself a little bit of a tick of the tailbone under. Maybe shift it back, whatever feels best for your back. Breathe here. Nice and strong in the legs. Push into that right foot. The left knee comes up. Hands come to the heart. Nice and balanced. And then we'll press the hands and the foot forward. And draw the knee in. So connect to the core. Press forward. And draw in. One more time. Good. Nice. Release that foot down. Inhale, rise all the way up. Exhale to fold forward. Hands come to the shins, halfway lift and lengthen. Exhale to fold. From here, bending the knees. Hands down, step that left foot all the way back to the back of the mat. Wiggle that right foot forward. Back knee can be down if you need, up or down. Squeezing the inner thighs, hands can stay on the ground and you can work on the stretch sensations that you feel here, or maybe the hands come up to that front thigh. So there's a whole lot going on. We've got compression in the right hip. We've got a stretch in the front of the left thigh. You might have knee involvement, so you might need to lift the back knee or place support underneath. And then if you lift your arms up, you've got stability here, strength. So listening to your body, whatever works best for you. Back knee can always be down. One more breath. Then eventually release the hands. framing the front foot. Remember, you can always have your blocks. Back knee might be down for this moment. Left hand stays connected to the ground or your block. Squeeze inner thighs, turning towards that right side. Right arm reaches up. And this doesn't have to look the same as it did on the other side. It's okay. It looks a little different. Unwind the hands. Hands are going to stay connected to the ground, but they can walk with you as you shift the hips back. The heel of the front foot stays down. And you might need to shift the legs a little bit to allow that front leg to become a bit straight. Doesn't have to be all the way straight as you bow towards that front knee. Feel into the sensations. Breathe. Present, inner focus. Then bend that front knee, shift forward against you in that nice long lunge. Blocks are there if you need. Feeling a bit more into the stretch of the left hip. So you might be leaning a bit more forward than you did the first time around. And then once again, shift back, hips going back to find that stretch into the front leg, Ardha Hanumanasana. Our monkey deity pose. From there, shift forward again, but this time we're going to draw that front foot a little bit closer to the back knee. Hands are going to come up to the thigh. So we're stepping straight up this time. Weight shifts a little bit forward, hands come to the thigh. This isn't always an option you can use for standing up. We're standing all the way up and clear off your mat for a moment. Do a nice big inhale to stretch and reach up. Exhale, hands to the heart. And then we'll shift the hands so that they come to the lower back, the back of the body, so that it's like you're kind of pushing your hands into your pockets. There, we're going to squeeze the shoulder blades together, shift the hips forward a little bit, and then see about leaning back, pressing the hands in and creating a little back bend. So the upper chest, the front of the chest, reaching up towards the sky. Good, and like a string on the chest, lifting you up and forward and release. Good, nice. So from here, let's step that left foot all the way to the back of the mat and bend into the right knee. So you have the right ankle and knee in line with each other, left foot back. You might slightly turn that left toe forward. So our warrior two stance, opening up the arms, soften to the shoulders. Gaze over the right middle finger, and then take some time to just fully be here in this posture. So being still and present, awake and aware to what you feel. Energy, strength, shifting balance. And allow that left backhand to go down. Right front palm reaches up all the way up. Turning the face towards the bicep, feeling that stretch into that whole right side of the body and reaffirming the bend in the right knee. Good, and from there we'll take that right arm down to the front right thigh, so our extended side angle. This can either be a hand or a forearm, and then the other arm can stay behind your back, turning your torso towards the side. Maybe the other arm, the top arm, comes alongside your ear. Palm face down. So we're kind of looking for one straight line from that left hand through the shoulder, through the hip. So if it feels better to have the hand behind your back, do that. Connect your core. Back foot is anchoring down and back, so the outside edge pushing down. And then keep this shape with the torso, but straighten that right leg and the right arm at the same time, lifting the torso a little bit so that now you're in your triangle pose. Nice and strong. Top arm again can shift and be wherever it works for you. Just make sure that you're not kind of pushing it back, that you've got this periphery view of that upper hand that's soft in the arm. Push down into the feet, come all the way up. Release the hands and turn the toes so that they head out to the corners of the mat. Heel slightly in and sit yourself down. Yeah, so our goddess pose, arms coming up to goddess. Staying in the posture for the legs, we'll squeeze elbows and wrists together. And then inhale to open. Nice, so getting some strength into the front of the chest while we open the back. Squeeze the back of the chest as we open the front. So it might be an inhale to open. Exhale to squeeze forward. And one more like that. Nice. And then press into the hands and feet. Reach them both up nice and big. And then exhale, sit back down again. Two more like that. So big, big reach up. And sit down. Good. Last one. This time, release the hands. Maybe the hands can come to the heart. Taking a moment to sit here, feeling strength and opening in inner thighs. And then maybe you lift one heel and lower. Lift the other heel and lower. And back to this first side, and lower. Good. One more each side. Feeling this in the legs. Good. And then press into the feet, straighten out. Turn towards the right side again. So you've got that right foot pointing forward. The left foot is going to hop halfway. And then we'll find our block in that right hand. So the right hand and block are an extension of each other, and they're going to be working towards the ground. The back left leg is connected to the torso, so it only moves with the torso. So as the torso leans, the back leg needs to lift. I like to kind of anchor my hand, left arm down. So it's not about getting the block to the floor. It's heading there, but it's not about that. We're practicing balance. So we're working for our half moon pose, bending into that right knee, lifting up the back leg, starting to lower block, and then come back up. So play with this so that it's not about getting to the point where the block heads to the floor. It's more about holding and pausing. Notice the shape of the body. Notice the placement of the limbs. Notice what is working and what is holding. Go ahead and come out in and out of this a few times. Keeping the torso as much as possible aligned with the edge of the mat, so you can use the edge of the mat for that. Working within your range. If you know that you are okay getting the block to the ground, you can lift up, but you don't need to. Good. Let's do a couple more. Little lifts. Just working within your range. Good. Last breath. And then let the hands and feet come together. Send the block off so we're into our forward fold. You might hold opposite elbows this time. Maybe put the forearms on your thighs. Maybe give yourself a little swing side to side. Exhale out the mouth. And then bend the knees. Send the bum back. Lift the chest. Lift the arms back to your chair pose. This time the arms are soft. We don't have to have them up towards the ears. Make sure that the knees are sort of shifting back instead of forward. It's not that it's bad for the knees, but we get a bit more strength when we work with the bum heading back. Nice and strong. Another breath. And then push into the feet. Inhale, reach all the way up. Big, big reach up. Exhale, hands to the heart. Take a pause in your Tadasana mountain pose. Feel the joints stacking. Feel this nice, tall, long body. Breathe. Present inner focus. And release your arms. We're stepping the right foot back to the back of the mat. I'm going to shift my block over to the other side so that the right foot is back. The left one now represents the front of your mat. The right foot might be totally parallel to the back of the mat, or the toe turns slightly in. Bend into that left knee. Allow the arms to lift, shoulders and hips in line with each other. Gaze over that left middle finger. And then just be here, pause. Breathe. Solidly connected here to this posture, feeling stretch and strength, noticing where you can soften. And then release that right backhand down. Turn the left palm up. Reaffirm the bend into the left knee. Face turns to bicep. Eyes can reach up to the hand. Big stretch into that left side of the body. Breathing here. And then hinge at the hips. Keep the chest facing towards the side. The forearm or the hand can come down. Like you've got that same action with the side, the leg and the hip connected together. You can keep the arm down on the leg or maybe reach up alongside the ear. Lowering down only as far as it works for you. Maybe wiggling the back foot away. Again, connect to core, connect to the feeling of stretch and strength. And then torso stays similar, might lift up a bit as you begin to straighten the left knee and the left arm. Top arm goes where it feels comfortable for that upper shoulder and for the neck. Push into the feet and rise all the way up. And then step that back foot halfway forward. You've got the left hand coming to the block. The block is now connected. They're stuck together for eternity. And then that back leg, arm, and torso are now one. They're sort of connected together. You've drilled the arm into that leg. From here, bend into the left knee, and then you're slowly lifting up that right leg as you start to lower the block. Pause when you have a little lift and lower again. So play around with this. If you feel unstable, then think about hands and feet coming together in order in a forward fold if you're going to sort of come out. But as you lift that back leg, just remember that if you kick it behind you at all, that's going to feel unstable. So make sure it's reaching out to the side. If you want to put the block down, you can. Maybe you put a wall behind you as well and do this posture. That's an option. Or focus on that slow movement, working on the little muscles that are twitching to keep yourself balanced. Good. So give yourself just 2 more breaths. It's okay to come out of it. It's just yoga. We don't have to get too hard on ourselves if the balancing is challenging. Good. And then allow the hands and feet to come together back into that forward fold. Again, you might give yourself a little elbow basket. You might let your head kind of rock side to side. Might bend your knees quite a bit, giving yourself a big exhale out the mouth. And then from there, we'll slowly come down onto our bottom and find your strap close by. Make sure you have that. Let the inner leg lines kind of squeeze together. You can lower all the way down to the back if you want, or you can squeeze those inner leg lines and kind of unwind your spine all the way down. And as you come down, maybe reach and lengthen the whole body out, pressing hands away from feet. Big, big stretch, wiggling through hips. And then draw that right knee into the chest, giving yourself a little squeeze, compression into the hip there. Keep the left leg extended, the toe and the knee facing up to the sky. As you squeeze that right knee in, maybe you draw the nose up to the knee. And then soften the head and shoulders down. Soften that right knee away from your chest a little bit. Hands still clasped. And then exhale, squeeze in. Draw the nose to the knee. So the left leg is anchored down to the ground, nice and firm and strong. Release head and shoulders again. Last time, exhale, drawing nose up towards the knee. Soften head and shoulders down, stretch that leg out, and then draw the other leg in. So the right leg is on the ground fully, the knee pointing up to the sky. You're squeezing left leg in towards you. Nose might come up towards the knee. And then soften head and shoulders down. Knee floats away from the chest a little bit. And then two more like that. So you might feel the stretch in that right hip, the front to the right hip. Good. When that feels like it's enough, release that left foot to the floor. Draw the right knee in again. So the left foot, the knee is bent. And then the right knee heads out to the side. Side of the foot goes onto that left thigh. Staying here, left leg, you can place on a block. Or maybe you draw that leg in, lacing the hands through the back of the thigh. Breathing into that right glute. Maybe you tilt the legs to the left. Soften through the neck, the shoulders. If you feel tension in the head and neck, then place a block underneath your head to release that tension. Inner focus. Notice if the mind is wandering off and draw it back to the feeling of sensations. And then unwind that right leg. Place the foot on the floor. Right knee is bent. Left knee heads out to the side. Side of the foot going onto that right leg. Keep the right foot on the floor. This side, this hip might be totally different. You might put a block under that right foot, or maybe the leg comes in and you clasp hands around the back of the thigh. You might rock the leg side to side and sense where the stretch feels best for this side. And hold. Softening the jaws, soften the forehead. And then this time as you unwind the legs, let the knees come into the chest, one hand on either knee. We'll just separate the knees, doing big circles here. And change the direction to circle around the other way. Place the feet down and find your strap. If you don't have it close by, then get your strap. And we'll draw that right knee into the chest, place the strap on the ball of that right foot, and then send that leg up as straight as is comfortable, keeping the bum cheek on the ground so we're not lifting up the hip at all. Ends of the strap nice and long and soft, and give yourself a point and a flex a few times, activating that calf muscle. And then come into your dorsiflexion. End of the strap can be long, but you're nudging and edging the strap towards you, getting some length and stretch into the back of the leg. Breathe here. Again, really present, awake and aware to the sensations. And then take both ends of the strap into that right hand. Draw the left knee in and just hold on to the shin. Turn the right leg bone out to the side so the knee points out, the toe points out, and then open the legs apart. So the foot is pushing into the strap and the strap is drawing up towards that right shoulder. The adductors, the inner leg lines, getting a stretch, really helpful for the knees and the hips. On an exhale, drawing the legs together. And you can just slide the left foot into the strap and release that right foot. Place the right foot on the ground with a bent knee and point and flex that left leg, the left ankle for a little bit. Right leg can stay with a bent knee or leg can extend straight out as you come into a flex, dorsiflexion with that left foot and draw the leg towards you. So it's up to you if you extend the lower leg. Give yourself another breath or two. And then draw that right knee in both ends of the strap into the left hand. Turn the knee bone out to the left of that extended leg and then allow the legs to move apart from each other. Exhale to draw the legs back together. Remove the strap and head the strap off to the side. Shift your hips up and give them a little bit of a wiggle. Find support for under your head. Maybe you even choose to come into your legs up the wall or legs on a bolster or a bed or a table or whatever works for you. Always do that. We'll be here for about 5 minutes or so, resting, relaxing in your Shavasana. Slowly allow your breath to deepen. Drawing your awareness back to your body. Taking note of energy, sensations, feelings, thoughts. Maybe you draw your knees into your chest. Or you might give yourself a long stretch and a yawn. And take your time. Eventually, you'll roll over to one side to have a breath or two of transition. Whenever you're ready, you can press yourself up to any comfortable position. Hands can rest on the thighs or come up to the place of the heart, whatever feels most comfortable. And the invitation is to bow your head towards your heart in a sign of gratitude. Gratitude to yourself for practicing today and for listening to your inner teacher. And gratitude to those teachers who have brought this ancient South Asian wisdom to us. May all beings be happy. May all beings be healthy. May all beings be free. Slowly lift your gaze. Thank you so much for being here, for sharing your practice with me. I wish you all a beautiful day. Bring our hands to our forehead for clarity of thought, to our mouths for purity of speech, to our heart for openness of heart. And we close with the seal of yoga.